Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this public teacher, the last of this season. And today we're going to talk about effective communication in business English for meetings and presentations. And I'm teacher Fabi Montanari. For those of you who has never been here, I'm here to help you improve your communication skills in English so that you can communicate better at meetings, job interviews, um, presentations, and general talks. Okay, so you're really welcome. I'm really happy to have you here on this evening, and we are going to start about this. Just confirm to me as usual. Just confirm that the audio is okay. Otherwise, I would be speaking silently. Is the audio okay for everybody? Yeah. Let me just do one thing here on Instagram, okay, people. I need to. I forgot to do it before. Do not disturb. I'm back here, okay? I'm sorry. I had to turn to put on the do not disturb focus because sometimes I get some calls like these telemarketing calls and it disturbs the light. Well, so far we are we have talked about many different topics here. Okay, from the beginning of these live sessions, we talked about common challenges to speak English at work, business English versus general English, what's the difference? And then last week we talked about fluency for communication in business English, what's that? The power of storytelling to express your ideas. What's the best way to learn business English? Why do you get stuck when you need to speak English at work? How to understand your real level of English, conversation in English and business environments. We talked about this yesterday. And today we are going to talk about effective communication at meetings in English. And I let this for the final talk because I think it's really important for you to understand from everything that we have started covering. Many people, what I see, and maybe you as a student aiming to speak English fluently, are very worried about how to write the right sentences, to use the grammar correctly, the right words. And I think this is all part of speaking English. Yes, it is. But you also have to focus on being able to spread your emotions, to express your emotions, because this is part of your communication. If you don't do that, you are taking the risk of sounding like a robot speaking, the GPS sound, or that POV voice that we have on the social medias, because you are going only to be using words and the grammar rules and will not communicate your ideas. But your body language and your emotion are part of your communication, not only in English, in Portuguese as well. But two things you need to avoid: using your own intonation from your own language to communicate that in English, and also um, using the flat intonation. It's like the GPS voice. One second, people. My connection here today, Friday. I'm using. Let me see here. One second, people. From yeah. Now I'm back here on Instagram. Okay. We had a connection, poor connection, but I think now it's better. So then, this is part of your communication, using the right intonation, and the right intonation is not the one from your mother language. We have a particular intonation as Brazilian Portuguese speakers. And I remember this story. I'm going to give you some examples. I remember a story many years ago. Many years ago, I was in a restaurant having dinner with my husband. It was a restaurant in São Paulo, like kind of a fancy restaurant, and uh, In the table close to us, there were some people, I think 3 or 4 men, uh, having a business dinner. I'm sure, no, not that I'm sure, I don't know, I didn't know those people, but I'm sure one of them was Italian. The other probably was American, and some Brazilians because I heard them speaking Portuguese. But this guy from Italy was very funny. It was an old sir, like a bald guy. And I think he was offering something for the Brazilian guy to buy, a business for the Brazilian guy to begin. And then I remember he used to say like that, totally, why do I say he was Italian? Because of his intonation, the way he spoke. And I remember this. And then you're going to invest $40 mil. $40 mil you're going to invest here. I said, okay, my God, where is he supposed to invest this money? But that was like, I was having dinner with my husband here, but when you were paying attention to the people close to you, I said, okay, what are they going to talk next? And what is this investment about? When you were paying attention. And it was very funny. But okay, this is really connected to what I want to say here today. It is about this, being able to put your emotions. And I felt that the guy was trying to convince the other part, the listener, to invest in a business that I have no idea what it was about. And you have to be able to do that in your meetings. Sometimes you are so worried about speaking the sentence correctly that you totally forget about the emotion. For example, I'm going to give 3 examples here. The same sentence, 3 examples. I'm going to say, and I gave this example a few days ago, if you watched all the live classes. First example, I told you to do that. Like the normal intonation. I told you to do that. I told you to do that. I told you to do that. This is the normal intonation. But then imagine we want to communicate a different idea. I told you to do that. I told you to do that. It's one idea, okay? Then you can say, I told you, not him, not her. I told you that. I told you to do that. I told you to do that. It means I told you. You were supposed to do that, not him, not her. I told you to do that. And then we have, I told you to do that. I told you to do that, not this. I told you to do that. So you see, I have the same sentence in 3 different intonation, emphasizing 3 different moments of my communication. And in this case, I'm communicating totally different ideas. And this is important for you to focus. Does it make sense for you, people? Did you get it? So this is important, okay? Another example here. We have this. For example, the normal intonation for this sentence would be, what do you do? No, what do you want? What do you want? This is the normal intonation. But then imagine, depending on the context, you say, I know what he wants, but what do you want? In a normal intonation, we are not supposed to emphasize you. What do you want? So which words in my communication have the emphasis, the stress pattern? What and want. What do you want? What do you want? Do you should be soft. You speak it in a soft way. I don't say what do you want. If you say like that, we need to practice this, okay? But you're not going to say what do you want. You're going to say what do you want? What do you want? But then imagine this part, what do you want, is the final part of this beginning. I know what he wants, but what do you want? In this case, I'm changing the pattern of the stress, the intonation, because I need to emphasize something different, a different idea. And you need to practice that. This is not going to come to you as magic. And if you're not focusing on that, chances are that you are going to go round and round and round studying English and having more classes and studying more grammar points or trying to improve vocabulary. And you have never focused on that. Remember the cube box that I put the other day, like the magic box that we need to organize? Maybe you are focusing your efforts to speak English only from one side of it. You see, only from one side. But you need to consider communicating in English means that you have to be able to speak about this, about your emotions. Okay? So far, so good, people. I don't know if you got this idea. This is quite tricky for some people. Let me see if there is any message here. No, there is no message. And here, hello, good evening, people from YouTube. Yeah? So that's it. Another example. Just let me get one thing here for you. One thing. I'm finding the example here. So even if you are putting your ideas in an email, you need to be able to read that using this emotion. When you read the email, you need to understand what it makes sense for you, right? Other examples here. We have these. I was practicing this with a student this week, and like a very helpful way for you to improve that is some poems. But then I have some pedagogical poems here to practice. They are not literature poems, but they are pedagogical poems to practice this. And this is a way for you to improve this communication, to understand where you have to put the focus. Have you ever paid attention to that? Does it make sense to you? People are not interacting here today. Good evening. Can you see my message here, Marcelo said? Yes, I can. What's your message? What happened? I was worried. What? Nothing happened. Thank God, nothing happened. It's Friday. Friday, and first class of Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho will begin on Sunday morning, 7 a.m. Why so early? Because you have the whole day to watch it. Watch it at 7 a.m. I will see who is going to wake up at 7 a.m. and watch the class. I can see that. I can see how many people watched the class in the first hour and answer the exercises and submit the feedback and make the comments on YouTube. Okay? So pay attention to that. It's very important. Because all of that I spoke so far, they are warm up for you to get ready for the main classes of Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho. All these classes are based on my methodology. And what I like to say is I love teaching grammar. I love completing grammar exercises. But probably you have had this experience so far. And it's not by learning grammar that you will be able to communicate effectively in your communications in English. If this was the point, it would be easy. Let's have a grammar book. Everybody, I would recommend you a grammar book. You do one lesson per day. And then at the end of the book, you will be speaking and communicating effectively. But effective communication in meetings is related to this idea. Sometimes you are angry and you have to express that, but in a polite way. Maybe you are scared too because, okay, you need to be assertive, you need to be decisive in your collocations, in what you are complimenting in your talks, but you also need to be polite. Imagine you are in a negotiation and you are unpolite or you are rude talking to the other people. It wouldn't be good. So you need to use Communicating effectively means using the words and the intonation and your body language in your favor, not against you. Have you ever heard about the topic? What way? That most problems in communication they happen because of the wrong tone of voice, and many people and I say this to a lot of people, and when I'm training my team too, people, we have to avoid letting just a miscommunication become a problem. Pay attention to this. This is gold in this talk today. Do whatever you can to avoid that some miscommunication become a big problem. Control the fire in the beginning with water, maybe, or with some chemicals that you need, but do not throw oil in your fire because things are going to be worse. But I, from what I see, people have problems communicating Portuguese in this sense. Do you know how to communicate that in English? A very nice feedback I have from a student. She was, from the moment she started, she had a good level of English, but she said, Fabi, I really need to understand how to communicate better. Not only applying grammar rules. I want it to be more natural. I want to be closer to natural speaking. And then after, when she got to the end of the course, she sent me a feedback that made me really happy. Because she said, Fabi, I never thought that I could be rude talking about something. I just wanted to use English. I don't know if I have ever been rude in a meeting or whatever. Now I understand. If I want to say the same thing, I can say the same thing in a rude way, but in a polite way. For example, in English, in Portuguese, it's common for us to say, abre a porta, por favor. Abre a porta ou abra a porta, por favor. It's the imperative way. But in English, it sounds like an order. If you're in a meeting and you want people to open the door of the office for you, would say, would you mind opening the door? Can you say open the door? You can. But depending on your intonation, and if you have not practiced that yet, you will be, you may sound rude. So this is part of effective communication. You just want the other person to open the door or to close the door for you. You want to ask them a favor. Of course, you can say, can you open the door, please? Or can you close the door, please? Everybody knows this is basic communication in English. But imagine you need to say, you are in negotiation with a supplier. And you have to say you are the customer. You are buying the services of a supplier. And you have to give the bad news that the supplier lost the bid. Do you understand bid? Lost the contract. You are going to have a new contract with a new supplier. This is not good news to give, to share. But you can say, okay, you lost the contract. We are having a new supplier for this project. Could be. You lost. The idea was communicated, but is this the best way to communicate that? Or you could say, dear Fulano, I'm afraid we are going to have to use a new supplier for this project because during the bid, we understood that he has better sources to supply our needs. A lot better. The final result, the final message is the same, but in more beautiful words. And then for you to keep a good relationship in business, you need to be polite. Nobody wants to have rude people around us. You know? So take care with that, about being polite. Avoid being rude unless you consciously want to be rude. Unless you really feel that I need to be rude here. I want to be rude, and I'm aware of the bad results or the consequences I can have for being rude in my communication here. Otherwise, you may be losing a good project and good timing of having better relations in business environments because of this lack of control of your communication. And when you are insecure, you can be rude unconsciously, but now you're going to pay attention to that for not to be, am I being rude? You can be, after this class that I have about being rude or being polite, you can be rude if you want, not occasionally anymore, intentionally. If this is part of your message, this is up on you. But you can also uh, understand. I lost what I was saying. Uh, After this class, you can decide to be rude if you want, but you know how to be polite in your communication. Okay? And this, we have inside the classes of the method, everything like listed, everything that you need. And communication is about this: right intonation, the focus on phonetics reference. Have you seen the stories I put on Instagram earlier today? I put a quiz. I like giving this exercise. It's a quiz. After, if you're here, don't go there now. Okay, wait for this class to finish, and then you go. A quiz of, do this pair of words, they have the same pronunciation or different ones? And people started answering, same or different, same or different. And the purpose of that is to realize, is to help you realize that if you don't pronounce the words correctly, it's not about the accent, but mispronounce the words will impact your communication as well. Make sure that you are close to the native pronunciation, to the fluent pronunciation. Or you will be speaking like information. Portuguese, no, English with Portuguese accent, Portuguese pronunciation. And you have to avoid that too. This is not related to effective communication. This is totally the opposite. Oh, teacher, but I don't know all of these so far. Okay, take your time. You have to. What do you need? You need to have a study plan that works for you the best way possible. But you need to understand what you have to consider in this study plan. Do you have to consider vocabulary and grammar? Okay, you can. But you also have to consider this phonetics reference, and you have to consider what makes your communication effective for you to be confident and fluent. The more you understand this, the closer you get to fluency. Fluency is not related to being flawless. You know this word? Flawless? Perfeito. Flawless lounge. When you're talking about rockets going to the stars, going to the space, they say they had a flawless launch. This launch uh, happened. It means that the rocket didn't explode during the launch. It happened the way it was planned. So flawless execution. And in business, we say a lot about that in projects. So we need to focus on a flawless execution. You, about speaking English effectively at meetings, you need to focus on a flawless communication of emotions. And that's it. I talked a lot today, but tell me your questions now. Marcelo said here, use would, could, should is very polite. Yes, they are. Yes, surely. You can use that. Hello, Flaviana, Lincoln. Hello, good evening, Honorato. I can see you now. On Instagram, people are very, very quiet today. So Will said something I didn't understand your reaction here, but try to do this exercise later and send your concerns to me. But about this, what I put in the stories today, you are going to see that during the classes starting next Sunday, you will during the classes we start next Sunday, you will understand this in a more structured organized and deeper way for you to say that. Yeah? What else, people? Have you liked? Please, people, click on the like button because then it helps me, the platforms, understand that you enjoy the content and so on. This helps us a lot, okay? And then on Sunday, on Sunday we will be back for the first class. It will be taped, but write your comments on YouTube, and these classes will be on YouTube, okay? Write your comments. If you have questions, leave your comments on the video. I will be answering to them all day long, okay? Watch them. On Tuesday, we have class 2. On Thursday, we have class 3. And on next Sunday, June the 30th, we have class 4, which will be live. The most important class will be live back with me, okay? Sunday evening. But then it's the live class will not be at 7 in the morning. It will be at 7 at night in the evening. Swilini asked here, how do we address a difficult situation in a polite way? There are many. I have some videos here that I put on Instagram saying about that. But basically, I have a whole class about it inside the program in method AWI in the program. But for example, you have to make culturally, American people do not, it doesn't sound good in English when you are so straightforward in your communication, okay? So what I say is that you have to find ways to soften the bad news. A good way to say that is I'm afraid. I'm afraid I don't have bad news. I don't have good news to share with you. I'm afraid. I'm afraid can be I'm afraid of flying, for example. But it can also be I'm afraid. Receio que I'm afraid I have bad news to share. It could be. This is one of the possibilities. But you have to be assertive, but you also have to be polite. You have to go straight to the point, but not so straightforward. You have to balance that. Of course, you don't need to be perfect, as I have always been saying, like the perfect grammar. But if you consider this in your communication, you are going to feel a lot more confident in your speaking. The problem is that many of you are stuck in the English by the book and not in an English for communication, effective communication. Other example, for example, when you say, where are you from? We learn, basic levels, we learn to say, where are you from? And many people are worried about making the sentence correctly. Where are you from? That's okay. But in reality, we say, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? Are so softened that you don't pronounce it, where are you from? This is what you have to avoid. Where are you from? It's better for you to say where you're from than where are you from? Where are you from? Another thing, now a bonus for you. What's the negative of the negative form of are? Are not. Okay? Are not. What's the contraction of are not? And I'm so sad that I won't be listening to you. I will be saying are not. We pronounce it as aren't. Aren't. They aren't here. They aren't here. They aren't here. Eles não estão aqui. But many people are going to say they aren't here. They aren't here. Aren't Aren't is the Brazilian pronunciation, or from people from um, syllabic languages. They say aren't, aren't, aren't. And then you understand the reductions, the contractions in fast speech, as Louis Carr, 2009, said here. This, uh, what makes your communication more difficult? When you don't understand these contractions. If you don't understand them, if you don't understand these contractions, you are always, oh, you have this, you are going to have the feeling of, oh, I don't understand them speaking. I just understand them writing. So can you please write to me? Because aren't everybody understands when you read that in a message, you understand aren't. But when you are speaking, people are going to say, oh, they aren't here. And then you lose this. Like it's like a short word, but it can bring together a lot of a powerful message. And then you miss one thing here, you miss another thing there, you miss another thing there, and then your communication at the end of the meeting is you are suffering. So you need to understand these contractions. You need to understand where you have the stress or what and where you don't have the stress in your communication. And you need to focus on that. You see? A lot of things. It's not difficult. I don't want you to think that this is difficult, but this is, if you have the right guidance in the right moment, things get easier. I told you the other day that I was helping a student, and he is a teacher in a university. He speaks English really well, but he said, I want to improve my English. I said, okay, what does he want? He speaks English. What does he want to improve? And then I started talking, and I realized that what he didn't feel confident about was in these moments. He didn't know exactly how to equalize the ups and downs in a natural way. It was like a robot communication. And we are working on that. And the other day, when he understood that, the stress patterns, like it was a click, he had his sight, a powerful insight, and then he was looking at the screen and he said, oh my God, teacher, that's so easy. Why nobody taught me that before? I said, I don't know, but I'm teaching you, Will. Good for you. And then maybe you are in the same situation. You don't need more vocabulary. You don't need more um, grammar rules. You need to review some of them. You need to review some vocabulary. But you don't need to focus or put all your energy of studying English into this stuff. It will be helpless if you put all your energy studying again what you have studied and over and over and over again, and you are yet in the same uh, level. It's pretty common for me to get messages in my inbox, in my direct, saying, "Oh, I have studied English for many years, but I'm still basic," or "I have studied English for many years, and I really can't speak as I wanted." Let's do a different thing. You deserve that. You don't deserve to be stuck. How many chances in your life and in your career have you lost, or you were forced to leave behind because your communication in English is poor? Yeah? Here, Louis said, sometimes even personal names could make confusion in listening, interjections to slangs, accent, and rhythm. Yes, there is a bonus for the student. Oh, I shouldn't be saying that, but I will. One bonus for the students who are joining this new group will be this fluency and rhythm awareness you're going to have inside the course. I love talking about this, and I could be talking to you until midnight today. I wouldn't leave here. But uh, I want to help you to understand what you need to do now. I know you may have many questions in your head, but what I want you to do now, only understand exactly, be honest to you. what your level of English is, what you can do in English. And watch the class on Sunday. Sunday morning, 7 a.m., you are going to receive the link for the first class. I want you to watch the class carefully, download the file I'm going to send as an extra material for you. And then I want you to give me a feedback answering the comments in the class. For next week, you just need to analyze your English for you, and then you are going to understand where you have to go, what you have to do to overcome this situation. Okay? I'm done. Now I'm done. I'm really done with everything I had to say. If you have no further questions, I will end this live now. But I want you to answer the quiz on the stories before they leave, before they're gone. And I'll see you soon during the classes of Semana do Inglês para o Trabalho. All right? Very nice being here with you. I hope you have a great weekend. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.